Welcome back. In this business finance lecture, we'll go over study problem 10-9 in page 337 from the 8th edition of our textbook. Here's a view of the problem. So the problem is basically about an IRR calculation, actually multiple IRR calculations for projects A, B, and C. You can see the stream of cash flows for all three projects. For project A and B, those cash flows are uneven, meaning the cash flows from one year to the other are not equal to each other. For project A, actually, they are all different. For project B, the cash flows for years through 5 are the same. However, the first year's inflow is different. For project C, though, the three cash inflows are the same. The implication for project C, you can either use the third row of your calculator or the second row. But for project A and B, you have no other option, but you have to use the second row of your financial calculator. Now let's analyze all three projects one by one. So let's start with the first one. So what I did is I went ahead and I listed the cash flows for project A, and then I recreated the calculator key inputs and the display as well. So let me split it into two. So the left hand side is the keys that you need to enter to your calculator, pretty much the first and second row of your financial calculator. And in each step I also included how the display will present itself, the display of your calculator, obviously. So what I will do is I will walk you through the first project A, and then I will assume you guys will have a pretty good understanding for the other two projects as well. So for project A, the initial outlay is $50,000, and that's why we enter it first, right after we press the CF, the cash flow key. Make sure to enter it, and as soon as you enter it, you will see a triangle just above it. Okay, and then you press the down key, and then you start entering the inflows, cash inflows. As I mentioned earlier, all 5 of these are different values. That's why you have to enter them one after the other. The key part, though, is not to forget to include the ones showing that you have a $10,000 cash inflow. That's represented in this line. And you need to make sure that it is just one-time payment. The $15,000 again, it's again a one-time. $20,000, it's a one-time cash flow, and so on. Once you enter all 5 cash flows, you press IRR and then compute key, and it creates the IRR for that project. So let me write it down here properly. So the IRR, the internal rate of return for project A, is just 23.29%. Let's have a look at project B. Before I do, actually, let me go back and see if there's any required rate of return given in the problem. None is given, so we do not have to make a decision whether we want to accept a project or not. So let's go back to project A. So we decided that we are done with the IRR calculation for project A. Let's do the same thing for project B. The initial outlay is $100,000. That's the initial investment, and we describe it here. And then the very first year, it creates a $125,000 cash inflow, but just for one period. What is interesting, the $25,000 subsequent for the next 4 years, we receive $25,000 of cash flow. So this $25,000 should be followed by 4 years entered into our calculator again. Once you key that in, you realize the IRR is 60%, quite a high value. So the IRR for project B is equal to, it's not a dollar. Hold on. So for that, so it is 60.22%, very high. Now finally for project C, the same story. You have a $450,000 initial investment, you key that in, and then you have for 3 consecutive years you there's a $200,000 cash inflow. You make sure you describe it for 3 years. Once that calculation is done, you realize the IRR for project C comes out as 15.89% when rounded for 2 decimal places of accuracy. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there's a second solution possible just for project C, obviously, and it is from the fact that because all these 3 cash inflows are fixed, we can actually use the third row of our financial calculator. And let me go ahead and recreate those rows for you. So we have, for the next 3 years, we have $200,000 of cash flows. There's no future balance and or salvage value on the project, and we need to make sure to make a $450,000 initial investment. So don't forget to put the minus sign here, very important. And the question is the IRR. So you just press compute I over Y, and you should get that the IRR will come out as 15.89% in agreement with our very first solution. So that's where we will stop our solution. So we were able to generate or calculate the IRR for 3 separate projects, and for project C, because the stream of income was even, provided a second solution for that project. So we are done with this solution. Hope you enjoyed the lecture.